Hi there, John Mattone. What a great opportunity to spend a few minutes with you to share my insights and perspective on intelligent leadership, and more importantly, how we can leverage intelligent leadership as leaders to help us navigate the massive disruption and change that's impacting all of us all over the world. I want to thank David Clive Price for the wonderful opportunity to spend a few minutes with you. I wrote a book in 2013. It became a bestseller, humbly said. And that book actually has been the foundation of the leadership work that I do with executives all over the world. It is also the foundation of a process, an executive coaching process that I utilize with executives that I coach all over the world. And I teach coaches now to use that process. And when we talk about intelligent leadership, I'm always asked the question, well, John, what do you really mean by intelligent leadership? And I guess the first thing that I would say is that I think we would all agree that when we look at intelligence, if we just look at raw intelligence, we've got no shortage of a lot of bright people running around businesses today. In fact, I would say that the curve is skewed, meaning that really most people in the executive positions all over the world do have a very high intellect. If we were to measure IQ, it would be up there. So in my mind, as I travel the world, I am amazed at the raw intellect that exists. So we have a skewed distribution, but when we look at leadership, what we've discovered, and by the way, this is not only my research. If you look at the research of PricewaterhouseCoopers and Deloitte and some of these other companies, this is not new. We've been talking about this for years. We have a massive gap in leadership all over the world. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about companies, we're talking about government institutions, healthcare institutions, educational institutions. It doesn't matter. We've got a massive gap in leadership all over the world. And what I've discovered in my work, and I know David has as well, that the key to unlocking greatness in leaders and getting leaders to operate at a much higher level comes down to a couple very, very important things. Ironically, maybe it's not ironic, that one of the first lessons that I was able to learn as an executive coach was the incredible opportunity I had to work with the late Steve Jobs in 2010. About a year before he died, he took one of my assessments, and that was the foundation for us working together over a period of 4 sessions that literally changed my life. One thing that we will always remember Steve Jobs for was that he was not a great leader. In fact, if he were in our session here today, I'm pretty sure he would admit to everybody that he was not a great leader, but he was certainly a disruptive leader, meaning that he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that disruption was the seed of innovation, that if he wanted his people and his teams and his organization, right, to be innovative, to think outside the box, to be creative, he had to disrupt people. And he also understood that the key to disruption and the key to getting people to handle disruption, right, is a mentality around being agile, right? So the ability to be agile around learning, change, and relationships was what he was so good at. He was so good as a leader at disrupting everything. I mean, literally, he disrupted comfort zones. He knew exactly what he was doing because he said to himself, if I disrupt comfort zones and I ignite agility, right, by being courageous and role modeling being courageous, that he would create new comfort zones that would be disrupted again. He knew exactly what he was doing, perhaps the greatest disruptor that we will ever know. Okay? So, what does all this mean? What I've discovered in my work is that the greatest leaders today, I think we'd all agree with this, that we have so much disruption happening from all angles that in reality, the best leaders are leaders who are working through the disruption by having a disruptive mindset, if you will, in a professional way. And that means definitely thinking differently and thinking big. Being vulnerable, having the courage to be vulnerable as a leader, having the courage to raise your hand and say, you know something, I recognize that I am good in certain areas, but you know something, I also recognize I got things to work on. The vulnerability decision is the most important decision that we can make as leaders. That is an internal decision that comes from the inner core, right? Vulnerability is something that's going to be very, very important as leaders as we continue to navigate the massive complexity that we're all faced with. By the way, not only in business, but in our personal lives. Having the courage to leverage our gifts and our strengths and really look at our gifts and strengths and say, you know something, these gifts and strengths have served me well. So what I need to do is I need to continue to strengthen these gifts and strengths and continually polish the gifts and strengths, but also address my development needs. And it never ends. It literally never ends. Having the courage to execute, step out of your comfort zone and make a tough decision and be passionate. Don't be afraid to be passionate. Be persistent. Stand up for what you believe in a professional way, right? The ability to handle feedback. The ability when you're going through tough situations to handle it with poise. Steve Jobs did all of those things. All of those things. You talk about a courageous leader. There's no way that we can help our people work through disruption. There's no way we can help our families work through disruption unless we are showing and role modeling courage. Courage is the foundation of agility. The ability to execute and be vigilant to the impact, right, that we have on others. Keep your eyes open, the ability to course correct, and I think most importantly, to go forward every day with a mindset that's privileged, a privileged mindset that you're privileged to have the opportunity even to show up, correct? You are privileged to have the ability to show up at work every day and truly touch the hearts and the minds and souls of people and create abundance for them and their families. When you talk about intelligent leadership, we're talking about leaders who are mature, strong, vibrant in the inner core. There's no way that you can drive greatness in the outer core. All the skills and competencies that you bring as a leader just don't magically happen. They're all ignited from greatness on the inside. If you're weak in your self-concept, and if you're weak in your character, and your value system is messed up, and your thinking patterns are negative, and your emotions are messed up, there's no question that all will translate to ineffective performance in the outer core. There's an inner core, outer core connectedness that we need to understand. And it's been my experience working with executives all over the world at the highest level that if we're going to drive a higher level of leadership, we owe it to ourselves and the people around us to ask ourselves those big questions. Am I truly a role model? What is my legacy? How do I want my life remembered? Those are big questions. Those questions are rarely asked by even some of the most successful people in the world. So when we talk about intelligent leadership, we're talking about greatness on the inner core, driving greatness in the outer core, driving the 4 A's that make the difference in the world, a higher level of achievement. That's A number 1. A number 2, affiliation, building strong relationships with people, actually going deeper than relationships. How about building bonds with your people, with your family, with your clients that cannot be broken? Those relationships built upon rapport, trust, and credibility. How about the A of altruism? That is not about you as a leader. So many leaders get lost. They derail because they think that leadership's about them. It is not about you. It's not about you. It's about creating greatness in others. It's about being courteous, compassionate, and altruistic so that you create centeredness and happiness in others. And lo and behold, you know what happens? When you start to actually discover the power of doing that, you actually drive centeredness and happiness in you. And ultimately, the biggest A, everybody, is the A of abundance. And when you think about your profile and how your life will be remembered as an executive, as a family member, it's all about, have you touched literally the hearts and the minds and the souls of the people around you. That's how your life is going to be remembered. That's what leadership is all about. That's what intelligent leadership is. I wish you all the best. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you. Enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you, David, Clive Price, and team, for the incredible opportunity. Thank you.